Hey there, Selena Knight, the Retail Biz Strategist here, and today I want to talk to you about one jaw-dropping customer hack that completely changed our customer experience. Thank you for joining me so much here on Wednesday at 12:30 Sydney time for the Facebook Live. This is a little strategy that I wanted to share with you that made some really big changes to our store. So have you ever, as a customer, been into a store only to find out that they've run out of the thing that you came in for? And you speak to the customer assistant and you say, have you got this product in? And they tell you that the stock's arriving in the next few days and that if you give them their details, they'll put them aside and they'll give you a call when the stock comes in. Well, then days or even weeks pass and crickets, you hear nothing. In fact, you may well have completely forgotten all about that order and bought the product somewhere else. So what's happened to me is that weeks later you get a call from the shop saying that your order's arrived, but you no longer want the product, so you tell them just to put it back on the shelf. And it's a common scenario and one that most retailers know all too well, that dreaded feeling in the pit of your stomach when you realize that you completely forgot a customer. And it happens because you're so busy working in your store that the slip of paper that you wrote the information down on, it accidentally gets trashed or it falls under a counter or it falls into that giant abyss that slips of paper just disappear into. Well, from a customer, and next time it happens, they'll be unlikely to actually wait and give you their details. And if that happens to be, it happens in the future, not only as a retailer are you going to lose out, to make a customer unhappy, but you're also going to lose out on what was potentially a sure thing when it comes to the sale. So as a retailer, you can't really afford to be upsetting customers. And even worse, you really can't afford to be losing out on sales. You need that money, you need that revenue, you need that turnover. So I want to share with you this little, I call it the jaw-dropping customer experience hack that our store implemented, and it cost us less than $1. And it changed the way that our customers felt when it came to ordering stock with us. Now here it is, let me just go grab it. Here it is, a notebook. I know, it costs like less than $1. It's a simple, humble notebook, and we used to like to call it our customer book. And it was only for customer requests. But of course, the notebook alone doesn't actually fix the problem. The next part was even cheaper. The next part cost a grand total of $0, absolutely nothing. We implemented a process to ensure that every single customer request had to be entered into the customer book along with any pertinent notes, like, if they needed it by Saturday or, whatever the deal was, it was for somebody's birthday, all those sorts of things. And from there, each team member had to go through the customer book at the beginning of their day. And they had to be familiar with what orders were currently outstanding, what orders were being waited on. And this meant that if a delivery arrived during the day, every person in the store was aware of what customers were waiting for. But we also went one step further and we did pre-orders in our point of sale system. And when the customer was happy to pay for a product, it was even better because you had the money and you had the system. But even if they weren't, and they were definitely sure that they needed the product, we would do a pre-order, which meant that when the inventory would actually go into negative for every item that you'd oversold. Couldn't do this on the website, but you could do it in store. So when the purchase order was actually received, when the stock came in, it meant that the stock was adjusted for everything that had been pre-sold. So for example, say you had pre-sold 3 of these things, you had 3 customers waiting for the item and 10 came in. Well, what you would receive was 10, but your inventory would now only say 7, which is really good when you're doing barcode labels because it would only spit out 7. So it was like a double check because all of a sudden you'd be like, where are my other 3 stickers? That's where they went. They are awaiting, they're purchased the pre-order. So even if for some reason someone hadn't been through the book, that updating of the inventory when the purchase order came in meant that it was a double check to make sure that the stock that you had in front of you was actually what was going out on the shelf. So it was a really small process. It really wasn't hard to implement. It just meant that everybody over their cup of tea or coffee when they first came in would flick through the customer book and see what was being weighted on. So the small process and that little $1 notebook, we always had pretty notebooks for the customers, changed our whole customer experience. No longer were people waiting for the products that arrived and then you inadvertently sold them because you'd forgotten that you were supposed to be putting them aside. And what also happened, as a bit of a side note, was that team members would actually use their initiative and they would call their customers if, say, a week had passed and let them know where the order was up to. Did they still want it? Should we still keep it on the list? Should we cancel the order? All those sorts of things. So the customers felt really, really comfortable with placing an order, knowing that they were going to be looked after. Now, this gave a sense of ownership to the team. Like I was saying, it was a bit of a byproduct. And it also meant that sales increased because customers were confident that they'd be kept informed right throughout the whole process. So when it comes to making customers feel great, you don't have to have the most expensive systems. Quite often, just a simple process and a genuine love for your customers is enough to ensure that you keep the sale and you have a repeat customer. Now, I'd just like to also say that even if you don't have a team, even if you are just one person, then this is a great process for you to implement now, because it's even worse when it's just you, because it's so easy you can just forget. You think, I'll just remember that Jane wants one of those. She's a regular client. She always gets them. I'll just remember that that is what she is after. It doesn't happen, yeah. It always, things fall through the cracks, things get in the way, or maybe you over pre-sell them, which actually does happen. You can over pre-sell. So you ordered 5 in, but you've already sold 6 by the time the order arrives. So this little process helps to keep your inventory under control, as well as empowering your team and also to keep your customers happy. So do you have any questions about my simple little hack that can make a great customer experience, can keep your team happy, can increase your sales, and it costs less than $1? If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below, or if you're listening to this a little bit later on the podcast, feel free to hit the show notes and come over and put your experiences into the blog post where this is hiding. And remember, every Wednesday at 12:30, I'll share with you one simple business strategy that can make big changes in your retail store. So, hi Victoria. If you've got any questions about this little customer experience book, as I said, drop them in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them once we've finished the Facebook Live. So for me, I'll see you next week at Wednesday at 12:30 and have a fantastic day. Until then, be profitable. This episode is brought to you by my new resource, the 5-minute hack to make you a copywriting ninja. If you have an online store, then this is for you. It will show you exactly how you can update your product descriptions in order to make more sales. Download it for free at selenaknight.com/ninja.